everybody. Where's my presentation? Oh,
It's already uploaded, so you can share.
Is this lady
Yes.
these? Hi.
Everyone can listen, just make sure that everyone listen to you.
Can everybody hear me? Hi. We're just starting with new technology. We're just getting these new classes up. Can you hear me? Moshe, don't go. I don't know if they can hear me.
Yes, I think they hear us.
Can you hear me, Navdeep? This is Navdeep.
Yeah, Navdeep.
And this lady?
Sandra,
can you hear me? Deepika, can you hear me?
please respond. You can write something note here.
Okay.
So share note, you can go for share note.
That's what I'm going to train on this program.
You can write here, they can listen. They should hear us.
Can you hear me? Where's my presentation? Is it this one?
Yeah. So this is, you have to go here.
Okay. Sorry, I'm not getting
This is yes, everything is coming here. Yeah. You can start.
Okay, good. Moshe, hi, just hold on a second. I want to get this up here. Where's my presentation, Moshe?
Okay. You can try here. Okay, they can already see. They can see me.
They can see, but I can't see it. I need to be able to read it too. Because I need actually a computer on the side here with notes. Hi everybody, welcome. This is Future Ed. We are just getting our special online lessons up and running, and the courses are new. My name is Susan, and I have been teaching IELTS for 20 years. And I've been teaching with Future Ed for the last 2 years. We are an official British Council IELTS test centre. And so you can come along to us and do your exam when you're ready. But these courses, we're just doing some introductory course first for those of you who are new to IELTS. If you don't know much about the test, tonight we're going to look at an introduction to the listening test. Moshe, Moshe, are you printing it? Sorry, guys. we're learning all this technology. Did you print it off? Thank you. Okay. Double-sided. Okay, great. All right, so here we go. If you're new to the IELTS test, what do you need to know about the listening? Tonight, I'm going to give you a couple of tips and tricks, and we're going to have a look at the listening test. So first of all, how long is the listening test? The listening test itself is 30 minutes. The CD is 30 minutes. So you will listen for 30 minutes. And then after the listening CD is finished, you will have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. So the listening test is 40 to 45 minutes altogether. Okay. When you set your test, the listening test is the first of the 3 tests that you do. So first of all, you'll do your listening test, and then you'll do your writing test. And then after that, you will do, the writing test. Okay. So, what do I have to do? So Where are my slides? Sorry, this is new technology to me. Moshe, how do I get the slides to move? Sorry, I came in earlier for a lesson in all of this. I've got slides. Moshe, how do I get my slides to move? I can click it, then I can move on to the next slide.
Okay. So, what you can do?
That's why I wanted to come in early to work on this. So
So
where are my slides? Because I want to flick through them so that they can see my slides.
this is here.
There.
Number 2.
Okay, and number 2. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Number 2. What does that say? Okay, and then number 3. Okay, I've covered that. Sorry, guys, we're new to this, but I've got some great lessons coming. I've got amazing materials that I have. I've been teaching for 20 years, and I want to really get all these fantastic lessons out to you. So I hope that says, so what do I have to do in the listening test? Okay, well, you will listen to a recording, and this recording is played only once. And then you will be given time to transfer your answers afterwards. In the beginning of the listening, you will be given time to actually read the questions first, and you will also hear an example. The examiner will then ask you, is it loud enough? Can you hear? And at this point, don't be shy to put up your hand if the listening tape is not loud enough for you. I have had students who have found that it was not loud enough and they were not able to score well test. So as you are going to listen to the CD, you are going to write all your answers in the listening question booklet that you will be given. Okay? And then after each section, you will be given time to check your answers. When the listening test CD is finished, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers from your listening answer booklet, question booklet, to a special answer sheet. Okay, there we go. I can't actually read that. Okay, does that say how long is my listening test? Yeah, I this. Sorry. Shit, these slides are so small that I can't see.
I can see that.
I can't see the slide I want to know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So last time they were big, so I could read from them, and this from them.
Okay.
I can't remember which slide I'm on.
Your slide number 7.
Oh, okay. Well, there's no numbers on these now.
Yeah. This is slide 1. Yeah. So if you like
Can
that.
you print this again on single point?
Okay, now they can see that this is
Yeah, okay. Now.
okay,
So,
if you click here, so this
Yeah.
is the option here. If you
Yeah.
click here,
Yeah.
so they can see this. You can also see them. If you want to minimize all, click
okay,
here.
now I can at least see them. Okay, so just click there. Okay. So,
Okay, carry on.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so let's have a look. So can you see the screen? What skills do I need? Okay. It's too far. It's 7. Sorry guys, this is. So we've spoken about that one, and we've spoken about what I have to do in the listening test, and now we're going to have a look at how is my listening marked. Okay, so I have to do 40 questions, and I receive 1 mark for each correct question. Spelling and capital letters and grammar are important, because remember, this is a test of your level of English. And each question is going to be marked correct or incorrect by an IELTS marker in a tick box. So each paper will be handled by someone. And once they've marked all the tick boxes, then the answer sheet is passed through a computer system, and the total number of your correct answers is calculated, and your band score is then calculated. So a very important tip here is make sure that you write your answer, number 1 or number 10, from your booklet, and write it against the correct number 1 or number 10 on your answer sheet. I have seen students in the past when we've practiced, and they've actually transferred number 10, question number 10, because they've left out an answer. They've ended up transferring question number 10 to question number 11 or 9 on the answer sheet. And this means that all the other answers below that are going to be incorrect. And there's no way that we can get a remark on that. So you will have to do the entire listening test again. So very important, write your answer against the correct number on the answering sheet. Alright, so let's look more at the listening test itself. The listening test is divided into 4 parts, and they cover a range of general topics. Okay. Remember, the listening test is the same for both students who are doing academic as well as students who are doing general English. So it's the same listening test. So it's divided into 4 parts, and part 1 and 2 are everyday social situations. Part 1 is to test my level of survival English. This is the basic English that I need to survive in another country. I need to phone and make a booking, phone and book a test, phone and book tickets for the bus. Very basic parts. And this is testing my survival English. Now, what you want to do with part 1 is you definitely want to be able to score at least 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. Because as we go to part 2 and part 3 and then part 4, the test becomes more difficult as we go. So if I can get all 10 marks in part 1, because I'm not necessarily, I may get 2 or 3 depending on my level of English, I may only get 1 mark out of 10 for my part 4. So you want to try and score as much as you can on your part 1 and 2. Okay? So speaking part 2 is also a social situation, and this is generally a monologue, and it's somebody's actually telling us about something like local facilities. We might have a tour through a museum. Maybe we're on a tour, and maybe somebody's telling us about the history of a motor car. And part 2 is also divided into 2 parts. So small bites of 5 minutes each, and we listen, and then we have time to write our answers and check our answers. Part 3 becomes a little bit more challenging because here we're moving towards an educational situation, a more academic situation. And this is very similar to what it would be like if you were at a student and you were in a tutorial with a tutor and maybe 1 or 2 other students. So in this part, you have 2 or 3 different voices, and you're discussing a research project that you might have done. So there, you need to be able to identify the different voices, so that becomes more challenging. And then in part 4, we have an academic situation, just like a lecture at a university. And this is a monologue. In other words, just one person is speaking. And in this one, the speaker does not stop halfway through. So 4 different sections and 40 marks, 1 point for each mark. All right. So let's have a look. What skills do I need? What skills is the examiner testing? So, first of all, I need to be able to listen to this information. And I think this is probably the easiest one. So I need to be able to listen for a name or a place name or a date, but it's one piece of information. And these usually help me to get my scores for my easier lower points. The second thing I need to be able to do is I need to understand the main idea or the overall meaning of a sentence or even a whole paragraph. This is slightly more challenging, and it does take practice, and in the listening course that we are going to run, we will certainly cover exercises in listening for the main idea. And we will teach you how to identify the main idea, because very often we might think that the idea is too broad, or we might go only for a specific part of it, which would only be part of the main idea, which would be too narrow. So there are techniques that we will give you to be able to identify the main idea. The third skill that I need to actually have is I need to be able to identify the speaker's attitude or opinion. And this one is generally for your higher score, for your higher scorers. So these ones are more difficult. So at beginner level, we won't worry too much about them. We'll focus more on those points in the advanced course. Now, the other thing I have to be able to do in the listening course, in the listening test, is I need to be able to listen to the CD, and I need to be able to read the questions in the question booklet. And I need to be able to write the answers that I hear very quickly at the same time. And this is very challenging because I may be writing something and I may miss listening to the next piece of information. So it's quite easy for me to get lost in my listening test. And this is why it's really important for you to practice as many listening tests as you can, so that you really get better at the skill of listening, reading, and writing at the same time. So the listening test is divided into 4 parts, as we mentioned, and it is also divided into sections and with different question types. So we may be asked to complete a form or a table or a flow chart or an organogram, or we may be asked to label a diagram. Sometimes we can be given a selection of pictures and we need to match the speaker's information to select the correct picture. So this type of question type would be describing. We also get what we call short answer questions, where we may just have to write 1 or 2 words. And sometimes they can ask us to select information from a box to complete the second half of a sentence. And sometimes these questions involve classifying information, in which case they'll give us 3 categories. Sometimes they ask us to complete a set of notes, which is like a summary, or to complete a full summary. And there I have to put words in the gap. And this summary is certainly a little bit more challenging. And it's important here to notice that in the summary question, this is how the examiner also tests my grammar in my listening test. So I need to select the correct form of the verb. Is it singular or plural? I need to select the correct part of speech. Do I need a verb in that space, or do I need a noun, for example? And then another very common type of question is where we need to match the idea, and multiple choice questions. So they give me 3 or 4 options, and I need to select the one that matches the listening. So this is why it's really important to practice the listening test before you go and spend a lot of money doing the test. And you want to familiarize yourself with the different question types, and so that you know what to expect and you know what your strengths are. But more importantly, so you identify what your weaknesses are. Because once you know what your weakness is, then you can work more on those particular type of questions. So here are a couple of tips and techniques for actually how you go about your listening test. As the CD is playing, you will be given a few minutes to just read the questions ahead, and you always want to read ahead and try to predict what kind of information you think might come up, or what part of speech might come up. So we will, in future lessons, we will practice this skill of predicting. Now, why do I do this? I mean, is it important that I predict an answer correctly? No. I may actually predict the wrong answer, but it helps me to hear the correct answer. So this is a really useful skill, predicting. Something else that's very important is at the beginning of each set of questions, we will be given a set of instructions. And it's very important that we read each instruction very carefully. Because if I don't understand the instruction and I answer incorrectly, then it means that I could get 4 or 6 or 5 marks, all incorrect. So, for example, this could happen in a true, false, not given question. I could write yes, no, and that would be incorrect. So, very important to read your instructions very carefully. Another useful technique is as you're reading your questions, as you're reading your notes on the answering in the question booklet, is to underline the key words, content words, and also underline additional meaning words. So in each question. And then as we listen, we're listening for that key word, or sometimes a similar word, or a similar phrase even. And then we need to match it to the correct meaning. Is it positive, for example, or is it negative? So listening for my keywords and my meaning words is also really important. It's important as we go to check our spelling and also check the grammar, because our spelling is important and we will lose a mark if it's not spelled correctly. And this is how the examiner also tests my grammar. So I must make sure of things like subject-verb agreement, and also things perhaps like third person singular, he goes or he go. Okay. And then of course, as we mentioned before, it's very important to make sure you write the correct answer from your booklet next to the correct number on your answering sheet. So here are some more general tips for you when you do the listening test. Remember to take along a soft pencil and a rubber and a sharpener with you. They do not allow pens in the examination room. If you do not have a pencil or you forget your pencils on the day, you will be able to ask for a pencil. So they do keep extra pencils in the test room. Once again, remember you need to listen, read and write at the same time. You want to write all your answers in your question book, your answer sheet before the test, as well as your question booklet. But I want you to put your answer sheet aside. Do not try to transfer your answers to your answer sheet while you're listening. It's an impossible task and you'll get very lost and you will lose a lot of marks. So we don't need to panic, because the examiner gives us a full 10 minutes after the test to transfer our answers from the question booklet onto our answer sheet. Now here I see many students just rush, and really you can transfer your answers in a matter of 3 minutes, and then you have another full 7 minutes. So I would recommend that you rather slow down and check each answer as you transfer it. Check your grammar and check your spelling, and make sure that the correct number on your question booklet is written next to the correct number on your answer sheet. So slow down and check as you go along. There's plenty of time. Once again, it's also a good idea when you are practicing your listening tests, it's a good idea to practice transferring your answers. And then if you mark your own answers at home, then you can see what you got correct and what you got incorrect, and where you made these kind of mistakes, transferring inaccurately or not double checking your grammar or spelling. Okay. So the other thing that you can do in the IELTS test is, if you're not sure of the answer, just guess. You will not lose a mark for a wrong answer. Okay? Okay. So we will be having a course of listening techniques, and we will practice everything that I've covered with you this evening. We'll cover all the different question types, and we'll cover part 1, part 2, part 3, and part 4. And so we'll be loading a new lesson each week, and you're welcome to come along and pick up some listening skills with us. Okay. It's a very good idea to book a mock test before you take the real IELTS test. This is going to help you see what band score you can get. And a mock test is much better value than the actual full IELTS test. So I would suggest that first you practice, you do some practice, and then you come along and you do a mock test with us. And that will be marked, and your writing will be marked, and you will also have a speaking test. So you will have an experience of a full IELTS test. And you will get your band score for each skill and your overall band score. That way you will know how close you are to getting the band score that you need to immigrate, or the band score that you need to go to university. And it's a much cheaper way to do it. I see so many students and they just come along on the day and think, I'll give it a try. And really, very, very few of those students get their desired results on the first day without preparation. So be prepared, save your money, prepare, do a mock test, and then if you need to study more, learn more vocabulary, take some lessons, maybe do a second mock test, and when you're absolutely sure you can get the band score you need, then spend the money on your real IELTS test. It's a lot of money to spend. All right. So you're welcome to contact the IELTS Test Centre, our Future Ed Test Centre, details, and talk to one of the guys, select the best course for you, or you can call in to arrange a time to do your mock test. So that's a very brief overview of the listening test, and very shortly I'm going to give you a brief overview of the speaking test. Thank you for coming online, thank you for taking the time, and we'll see you in the classroom. Does anybody have any questions? If you'd like to type a question, if you're able to type a question in the chat box, you're most welcome. Good. Okay. All right. Well, I'll say good night, goodbye, and we'll see you in the next lesson.